everybody, and welcome to this month's vlogcast. I'm very lucky to have Dr. Patrick Harrington sitting here with me to give us all an update on the app. Patrick, when did the whole project start? And I know you're the clinical lead on this, and some people will not have seen the first vlogcast we did, and a lot's happened since that first vlogcast. So I wonder if you could give us just a quick update on, how it started and where we are now.
Yes, thanks, Nona, and thanks for the invitation to give an update on this project today. So the project has been in development for a few years now. It was initially an idea that was developed following discussions with colleagues at a meeting, and the idea really was to provide a resource for patients to really optimize the monitoring of their myeloproliferative neoplasm diagnosis. The app has been built and was actually launched in April of last year, so April 2024, and has been available for patients to use since then. And we've had really significant interest since it was launched. We have over 300 patients using the app currently and recording their symptom scores and monitoring their biometric data regularly. So yeah, it's been a really positive experience. I can give a bit more detail on what we're trying to look into and the technology that is being harnessed to do that, if that would be helpful.
I think it would be helpful. I think it would also be helpful, obviously, to know how it works and also who's eligible for it.
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, I'll start with the last point. Anyone who has a diagnosis of myeloproliferative neoplasm is eligible. So that includes the classical myeloproliferative neoplasms, essential thrombocythemia, polycythemia vera, and myelofibrosis. You have to be over the age of 18, which would be the vast majority of patients. And one of the other inclusion criteria is you have to have access to a smartwatch and be able to use that, which again is most people. The idea behind the app is that there's increasing interest in the monitoring and use of patient-reported outcomes to monitor patients' conditions. We know nobody is better placed than the patient themselves to monitor their condition, and we're quite fortunate in the MPN world in that we have a validated score that is available to allow patients to record their symptoms, which is the MPN 10 total symptom score. The MPN 10 total symptom score has been used for many years as a way to monitor symptoms in myeloproliferative neoplasms. It lists the 10 most common symptoms that are observed in these conditions and allows patients to score them on a 0 to 10 scale, which allows us to provide a total symptom score out of 100. So that's one of the patient-reported outcome metrics that we're looking at. And there are some others as well, such as the EQ5D5L score, which is a really useful quality of life metric. And we're asking patients to try and record these on a weekly basis, if possible. But we understand that maybe not everyone will want to do that so frequently. So it's really, we ask them patients to record as often as they can. The other novel aspect to the study is that we are supplying patients with a smartwatch, which is a Withings smartwatch, which I'm demonstrating in the video here, you can see. So they're quite a nice design, and they allow us to monitor activities such as the standard kind of things that you see, step count and heart rates, as well as other more advanced metrics such as sleep scores, and we can look at things like deep sleep and light sleep. And what we're then able to do is see the correlation between these symptoms and the biometric data. And this is a really novel approach. Nobody has really done this before in myeloproliferative neoplasm, certainly. One of the other aspects that I should mention with regards to eligibility to the study, and that's something that we're quite proud of with this, is that patients are able to sign up to the app remotely. It doesn't require any physical attendance at any particular hospital site, which I think is very useful in terms of equity of this research project. It means that people from across the whole of the UK are able to join up. It's not available outside of the UK currently, and that's something we're looking into. But the way it works is that patients will see a QR code or will see advertisements for the app via social media, for example. If they then follow the QR code or follow the link that is provided, which brings them to a microsite where they're then able to enter their data. which allows us to confirm eligibility. And then patients are provided with a patient information sheet and are able to sign an informed consent form. So it's following all the steps that we would normally want to do in a clinical study. And patients are then able to access and use the app remotely. So like I said, it doesn't require any physical attendance at any site, which is really useful and helps patients to be able to engage with this.
Can I ask you, how secure is the data? I think it's a question that, most patients wanting to sign up will want some reassurance about.
Yeah. So what I can say with regards to that is that we have had gone to great lengths to ensure the data security, and that's a real priority for us. So the study has been assessed as a formal research study, so it's undergone external ethical review. As part of that process, we had to be assessed by data security experts to make sure that the design of the study and the current processes were accurate. It has also been met all of the required standards that are necessary for this type of project. So we can be quite confident that the data is secure. It's not being given to any external parties. So I should mention that some of the funding for this study, because obviously it costs considerable amounts of money to run something like this and provide all of the wearable devices. So we have received funding from pharmaceutical companies who are partners with this project. But to be very clear, none of the data that is being collected is being sent to anyone outside of this research study. It's being kept within the research team, which includes a team of clinicians and a few colleagues within the company that we were working with who are helping us to design and run the app, which is Sanius Health, who are a biotechnology company who have great experience on running these kind of projects.
And another question, is the study full, or are you still wanting to recruit more patients?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really good question. So actually, because of the unique study design, we don't have any upper limit in terms of the total recruitment, which is the patients who are able to download and use the app. The only limit we do have is on the number of wearable devices, because there is a cost associated with those. So we do have a limit on those, but that is still not full completely. So at the moment, as I say, we have around 300 patients using the app. We had a vague estimate that we may aim for recruitment of around 1,000 patients in total. The study is going to be run over a 5-year period. We're just coming up to our first year soon. And we would encourage if anyone who's interested to go onto the MPN Voice website, and the links will be quite prominent on the homepage there to join up the study. The wearable devices, we have a limit of 500 of those available. So that is the limitation. But even if you are unable to receive a wearable device, I think the tracking of the patient-reported outcomes is really useful. And there are various other tools within the app which are designed to make things easier for patients in managing their MPNs, such as things like medication reminders, which patients may or may not find helpful, and then links to various other pages which can be helpful in terms of providing current and up-to-date information about myeloproliferative neoplasms and associated areas.
And now another question, Patrick. Do you have kind of equal numbers of ET, PV, MF patients on the study, or are you looking for more in a certain area, or how does that work out?
That's a good question. So at the moment we have more ET patients followed by PV and then myelofibrosis. We are trying to and that's representative of the prevalence of the different types of MPN. So it would be expected to have that differences in the numbers. With regards to the wearable devices, we are trying to have equity in the numbers from each different patient group. So we are limiting the number of devices that are provided to patients where we have a significant number already using a device in that particular disease subgroup. So if there are patients with myelofibrosis particularly who are interested in signing up, we'd be particularly keen to get you on board so we can really monitor your condition and see, because this is obviously a slightly rarer subgroup of MPN compared to the others, but it's also something that's an area that's really important to try and collect data on.
And can I ask a question? I mean, what's the data shown so far? Are you able to share any of the information here?
So yeah, it's difficult. There's big data project, so it's quite difficult to summarize it. But what I will do, and this is certainly something that I will present at the I imagine present at the patient forums around the country, and potentially at the London meeting later this year. But briefly, what we're seeing actually, and one of the really interesting things is that there is a strong correlation, an inverse correlation between the symptom score. If we look at the whole cohort of patients with myeloproliferative neoplasms, the whole cohort of patients, the higher the symptom score correlates strongly in a negative direction with the activity metrics. So, for instance, the higher the symptom score, we're seeing a significantly lower active duration time, step time, distance traveled, activity of different intensities, such as intense, moderate, and soft activity. All of these things are strongly inversely correlated with the symptom score, which is really interesting because nobody has found this association before. And it's perhaps as we might expect, the more symptomatic you are, the less active you would be. But it perhaps is something that we could potentially think about using as an objective clinical trial endpoint in the future, in the knowledge that we actually have difficulty with regards to some of the endpoints in MPN patients for clinical trials. This is something that is perhaps could be used in the future.
I mean, this is amazing, isn't it? From the concept of having an app and doing this study, just how much information, useful information, you're already getting. So, I mean, I think from an MPN patient's point of view, this is a really exciting innovation that's happening, particularly in the field of science and clinical studies. It's brilliant. And the future, I mean, I know you're working on being able to roll it out. Is there a sort of goal plan for that, in terms of time? Because it's a question we get asked a lot, is, when will I be able to access it?
Internationally, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the problem with that is, as I mentioned, it is a ethically approved research study, which means it's gone through fairly rigorous processes in the UK. And to expand it internationally, we would need to do that in each of the individual countries. So it's certainly something we are looking into, and we would need to collaborate with centres in each of those countries. I know we have a meeting coming up shortly in the Republic of Ireland, in Cork, and it'd be great to speak to colleagues there about the potential to expand this to Ireland. And there's been some interest from German patient groups as well. Again, that would come with increasing complexity around language barrier. There is a onboarding support for patients who sign up to the app, where the study team sometimes will contact patients to see if they're getting on okay with the project and if they need any support. So there is a potential language barrier with some countries that could prove problematic, but these are all things that could be solved.
This is all very, very exciting. I can't thank you enough for giving us an update on the app and the wearable. And I just ask any of you who are interested to please, as Patrick has said, go to the website and look at how you can get either more information or join the study. And we look forward to hearing more as the study progresses. All very exciting. And thank you so much for giving your time. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, Patrick, but I think, it's all showing good signs.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's supported the project, either through helping to run the project, or more of more relevance, the patients who have already signed up and are helping us to generate this in important data, and hopefully getting positive use of the app for themselves as well.
Thank you. And again, it's been a real pleasure to hear this update.
Thanks.